Uh, Hi, I'm Kiso, and today I'm sitting with Professor Jamie. He's from ETH Zurich, and I'll give a brief introduction about him. So, Professor Jamie, he likes to be called as Jamie. His full name is James Alexander Connolly.
Dennis.
Yeah, and he's a emeritus professor in the Department of Geochemistry and Petrology in ETH, and among his various contributions to science, he's best known for developing perplex, which is widely used uh, among in various applications in geodynamics and in petrology, and he he has recently added another feather to his cap, and he's the recipient of Barrow Award 2025. And welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I think this is your first visit to India.
Yes.
So how has been your experience so far?
Spectacular. Definitely a place worth visiting.
Yeah. Would you like to visit again?
Yes. Undoubtedly.
Can you describe how is a normal day for you in when if you are in States and when you are in Zurich? What is the normal? How do you? What's a normal Jamie week?
Huh. That's a hard question. a normal, a normal at the well, since I'm retired, I don't go into the Etat very often. I eat breakfast, go riding, do a little work, eat dinner, and that's pretty much what I do everywhere. Mm.
Jamie, I would like to know how has been your journey from being a kid in high school kid in the States to taking up science and then finally being a professor in ETH. How has been your journey so far?
That's another hard question. Well, I'd say I didn't have much of a plan coming out of high school. It was my choices. Geology was the only subject that I hadn't done in high school. So I thought, since I did badly in all the other subjects, maybe I would do better in geology. So that's how I ended up studying geology. And actually, I was sort of lucky in that although I didn't understand much about choosing graduate schools, my advisor suggested that I go to Arizona State. And accidentally, I went to Arizona State for a completely different reason than or when I got to Arizona State, what I studied was not at all what he expected me to study. But it turned out that there were really good faculty there by sort of accidentally there. And so I really did learn a lot there. And I sort of got introduced into thermodynamics there by those guys. And then I thought I wanted to become an experimentalist. So I talked to somebody at Arizona State, and he suggested I go to Penn State to do experimental petrology. When I got there, I realized that I could not do experimental petrology. And my advisor there, Daryl Carrick, or a possible advisor who became my advisor, Daryl Carrick, suggested instead that I work on automating the construction of metamorphic phase irons for metamorphic petrology. And that actually probably set a lot of my future, my future development, that choice. And then as a graduate student, I sort of, as a postdoc with Alan Thompson at the ITAR, I moved completely away from from metamorphic petrology and did sort of geodynamics, heat flow, things like that. And I continued as a postdoc or later as an Ober assistant, sort of like an assistant professor, but below an assistant professor. Well, they didn't have assistant professors. And I just ended up staying there until they made me a professor.
Mhm.
So there was no real plan involved in any of that. It was sort of an accidental sequence of events.
Is what you have always wanted for yourself now that you look back?
Not exactly. It wasn't. I think if I had planned, I would have chosen something better suited to my skills. But you never know, right? Until you actually try. And I think a lot of people, it's like you always find in a subject, you may be in geology, but maybe you're better suited to study mathematics or physics or something like that. But if that's the case, you find within geology a place where you can use mathematics and physics. So I think you may not make the perfect choices right off the bat, but you can sort of find your way in the field to a place where your talents are better used. As I would put it. Yeah.
I'm glad you chose to study geology, because if Jamie is not there, I think we wouldn't be using Perplex.
But instead, you might be using something better.
Jamie, since your first paper in 1987, that's an algorithm and computer program for calculating composition phase diagram. So that was in 1987, and were there still computers and that time? I mean, how was it to, like, now we have very fast computers, and but how was it like developing? And
Yeah, certainly at that point, the algorithm was limited by what you could do with it. An algorithm was limited by the quality of computers. And actually, when I was in high school, programming was sort of just becoming a common tool. I mean, I think when I was born, programming was already in use for engineering applications and things like that. But it wasn't something that you would learn in high school. And by the time I got to high school, there were sort of primitive courses, but the stuff wasn't really, the computers weren't very powerful. And certainly the optimization problem for calculating phase diagrams is one that is really, the algorithms only became feasible as computers became very efficient. So what was possible in 1987 is completely different than what is possible now. That's for sure. Although the optimization problem itself, it doesn't really lend itself to parallelization. So you don't have the same benefit that you have in other fields, like in geodynamic modeling and things like that, where you can use massive parallelization. And
Jamie, we'll talk a bit about the Perplex. So they are mainly two users now. One is the beginners, and some in expert. So is there something you would like to say to the beginners who want to give a try using Perplex? Is there some like?
well, use a different program. I mean, there are certainly much more user-friendly programs out there right now.
Uh-huh.
And don't have the learning curve that Perplex has. Perplex takes a while to learn. The advantage, I guess, if you're a beginner, the advantage of there is no particular advantage to Perplex. The advantage to Perplex comes in that it has more flexibility than a lot of other programs. So you can do a lot of different things, and but its interface is primitive. So none of these things are easy to use. So for a lot of beginners, they have a very straightforward problem, and these newer programs now are set up to answer this straightforward problem. So yeah. It is true that if they just want to solve the straightforward problem, the other programs are definitely easier to use.
And for people who are already using Perplex and they have, they know how to use it, but something. Can you say some? Say some. I mean, how to say? For users who already know how to use, something to say for this. You have something to say for them?
Update. Don't use an old version. If any of them want to take it over, it's fine by me.
Are you saying that IISc has a good research environment?
It has an excellent research environment. Okay, probably part of the reason that is so at IISc is that the funding is still relatively that many students get funding independently of their professors. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, the student freedom, the freedom to pursue their own research is something which really no longer exists at most other universities I've been in. Most other universities, professor over assistant or somebody has secured funding for some project. The student comes in and they have to choose a funded project somewhere, and this funded project then has already a direction which they have to pursue. So yeah, the freedom here is something which is very appealing. Definitely, the emphasis here is research in terms of the relatively small number of undergraduates and a high number of graduate students.
Would you like to say something to who are doing research now and then who are thinking about joining research, not just in art science, but as science in general?
Do you mean
I mean,
what I'm doing in research, or
no. Some people might be interested in joining research, and some are already doing research. And what word of advice would you like to give them, not just in art science, but research as general and in particular science?
I don't know. One thing that struck me when I retired is that I always thought somehow that I should do something like, or the whole purpose of science was to like invent the theory of relativity or some big thing like that. Yeah. And when I retired, I realized that in fact that's not really true. The truth is that most people are not doing things like inventing the theory of relativity. Most people are becoming experts in a subject.
Yeah.
And I think that for academic success, that is actually important, even though it doesn't fit my sort of the pattern that I followed very well. I sort of did my whole career as a postdoc, which I'm quite happy about because it let me pursue individual projects and do whatever interested me at the moment. I never became an expert really in anything, as far as I know. Well, maybe accidentally through Perplex, but Perplex is something I sort of often wish would sort of disappear. Bad. Unfortunately, I'm sort of stuck with it. I went for about 15 years without Perplex.
You went 15 years without Perplex?
Nobody used Perplex from the time I left, finished my PhD, till about 2005. And then in 2005, people started using it in geodynamics. And then after that, people started using it in petrology. Which is sort of a strange, but it's not exactly, it's got its problems, which make it unappealing to petrologists. I mean,
Jimmy, I think that 2002 or 2005 paper was it's more cited or something.
2005 paper is,
it's more cited, I think,
it's cited a lot, yes. I don't know. It's just two, I don't think it's cited so much.
Mm-hmm. With all your success in Perplex and programming and all this, will you still, if you were given an opportunity to do another PhD, will you still, I mean, what will be your...
Yeah, the question is, would I overcome my laziness to do it? Yeah, for sure. I would like to do, I think I would like to study applied math. Like, it's like, I have this little tiny path through applied math, through this other kind of work that I do, this compaction, two-phase flow stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And it's something I really, if I move off the path, I'm completely lost. So I would actually like to be correctly trained in that subject. I don't know. Yeah. If I were given the chance, I think I would. Yeah. I would do it if I weren't lazy, but I am lazy, so it's probably not going to happen.
No worries, please, sir. Jeremy, we have come to the end of our small talk. Thank you for giving us your time.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I hope it has been, I think there's something to take for everyone. And do you have anything that you would like to say?
I've been saying all the time.
Can we go get some onion samosas?
Yeah.